tonight, in promotion of a book that's going to be coming out soon called Purpose, Passion, and Love, The Heart of a Man. We're going to test out a few pieces, probably about 5 pieces, and I'm interested to hear in between each piece what you think, suggestions, things that we can throw into the book to maybe motivate people. So we got a film crew here, my brother Mush. Mush, tell the people the name of your production company.
Mush for Mayor TV.
Say it again?
Mush for Mayor TV.
Mush for Mayor TV. So if you need any film work done, weddings, birthdays, you know, we got a guy right here in town that we want to kind of tie business into keeping everything within the community. All right. So before I go further into letting everybody know where my story comes from, I'm gonna give it to you in poetic form, and then after we get through, we'll talk about it a little bit. Spirit, only I worship, trudging past least travel in hopes of inspiration for present and future generations. The heart of a man spilled on these pages, the testimony of a walk of faith and its wages. Yeah, it costs. Sometimes friends, sometimes family, sometimes credibility, and plenty of humility. 6 years old is when the journey consciously started for me. I heard a man say, ain't nobody from Thomasville gonna ever be nothing. He was speaking specifically of a cat that was back home after losing a football scholarship or something. I said, well damn, ain't that nothing? A grown-up that don't believe in God or something. I had just learned in Sunday school that all it takes is that the size of a mustard seed. So why is this motherfucker front? I told myself, I'm gonna show this dude something. So growing up in this little town where high school football wore a mythical crown, I set out to do what the young man didn't do and turn old boy's statements around. 12 years later, I found that a cycle existed, and I was caught up in it. I traveled the exact same road as Buddy 12 years ago, and come to find out, we were 2 of many. Now some questions had to be answered. How did this happen to me? And how come old boy's statement was looking like it had validity to it? What caused so many of us to fall victim to it, brothers and sisters alike? I stumbled across a book. One revealed that it's really a spiritual fight, not solely relegated to the Ville, but all over the world. It's when people perish from no vision, leading to lack of knowledge and understanding, no wisdom. Each man's blueprint from the beginning internally must have seed planted, the revelation of which comes through recognition, nurturing, and mastering of his God-given gifts and talents. It's about raising the vibrations that surround you, not for self-grandeur or some other worldly form of gratification, but for our highest level of spiritual elevation. Your life's purpose is your life's message. Don't tell me all we're waking up for is to bust some nuts and all the trappings of a couple of paychecks. Make it deeper than that and experience the revelation of born freedom. Life's truth through answers that the mustard seed in you already. Purpose and passion, lovely spoken, intent with action. That come from a place where, as a little kid, I was aware of the fact that something was going around in this town that kept us from achieving. And even then, as a little boy, I knew that something had to be done. Now, at the time, I thought it was gonna be through football, like most of us do. And like I said in the poem, you know, I traveled the same road, and all of a sudden I was back home. I lost my scholarship too. So, in trying to figure out what went wrong, what I realized was that not only in just small towns, but also in big cities. But in big cities, it happened on a small block. We don't understand how to realize what gifts God gave us and how to use them. We don't understand what really passionately drives us and what gives us energy to live life and revelation of life through questions. And so once I flunked out of school, I had to do something. I had to do something because football wasn't available to me no more. And so I had to go back to a gift that I realized that I had in my senior year of high school through an English class assignment. And it turned out that even though I wasn't thinking about it, my gift of writing provided passion for me to provide some type of outlet for our kids in our community that would let us raise a level higher than just mediocrity. It's easy for us, you know, when we grew up, this was an industrial time. And so it was easier for us to ignore certain gifts, certain things that we don't pay attention to, you know, like if we got a kid that can play the drums or, you know, he can write or he can sing or, you know, he might be into something abstract like dancing or something, but we was always quick to tell that child to get a real job. But what we're not realizing in that is that when God put them gifts inside of us, those gifts are provided to lead us to the job we're supposed to have so that we can enjoy what we're doing and find some type of fulfillment in it. And so my whole vision and my whole motivation, not just for publishing a book, but for even the completion of this night right here, is to make everybody leave here with some type of inspiration or motivation or realization that those little urges that you have planted inside of you, they're there for a reason. They're not there for nothing. And we need to learn how to link with those gifts so that we can teach our kids how to live more prosperous and fulfilled lives. I was talking to Reggie before everything we got started, and me and him both was talking about how uncomfortable we are being in the spotlight. You know, when I played ball, I was an offensive lineman, so, you know, our names don't get mentioned, and I'm comfortable with that. I like grinding in the trenches, but this type of thing is necessary because, unfortunately, we got a whole bunch of talent in Thomasville, but only athletics and a few other forms of entertainment are presented as ways to give people's character a certain amount of validity. And that's sad. You know, we can't do that. We can't do that. We gotta find a better way of doing things. And so that's kind of where the inspiration for me even stepping onto this journey came from. It was a matter of me not believing as a 6-year-old child what some grown-up said while I was at the park with my uncle. You know, I was eavesdropping. You know, they always tell us to stay out of grown folk business, but, you know, hopefully this time that it planted a seed to where, you know, we're gonna get something better out of it. And so, the next piece that I'm gonna test out on you, this book, Purpose, Passion, and Love, The Heart of a Man, it basically entails a whole bunch of poems that come along with taking a faith walk and things that I have seen and observed that made me realize what needs to be spoken and what needs to be said and what needs to be attended to. And so the next piece that I'm gonna give you is called Rubber Man. And fellas, it's to us, you know, because we got a place that we need to uphold. We got certain things that are working against us that we need to learn how to fight against. And so, Brother Man goes like this. Brother Man, my brother man, we gotta have a discussion, man to man. The world got us out here looking crazy, painting narcissistic pictures as if perfect scripture is just us that's missing. The way to defeat falsehood is to live different, regardless of the ambush of the I and I. Stay on the accountability mission. Listen close, so we can begin to rebuild and reverse the world's boisterous, everything is the fault of a man overdose. First things first, the weight is heavy, and in order to lift it, all the shit we did, we gotta be man enough to say we did it, or didn't do it, or felt it, or said it, whichever one it is. Next is correction. Simple ideology to get back to. In most cases, we get misled by who can fight, run, jump, and blow the loose backchild at night. That we stiff on the original plan, the definition of a man. To dwell in the land as provider and protector of ourselves, community, and our family. Single-minded, by illusions never blinded. Stay steadfast, walk upright. Be about your business, and stand back and watch the naysayers fight over the next plan of attack to rob you of your manhood. The truth won't let it happen like that. We got worldwide broadcasts trying to convince us that we are supposed to keep silent and roll with the punches and be some kind of welcome mat for whatever our households and communities give us. No, we're supposed to dictate that. Check the scripture. That don't mean to be oblivious to our earth's suggestions and wisdom. Our man charges us with the decision. We ate the fruit one time that was forbidden. Now the shit seems to be never ending. Focus purposeful, passionate living, not to be swayed by slave makeup, swinging hips, puppet lips, rolling eyes on guilt trips, or too much hanging with the homies, mess around and look up and get left all by your own. God's plan only, by his gifts given only. If not, it won't bring the outcome you were wishing for. If said moves ain't included in the vision. Stand pat on that and the disposition that comes with it. From that, all the necessary tools and support will be added. From the strength and resolve you need. From the strength and resolve you need to the questions you need answered. It is time for us to be what is made in his image. To any plot, plan, accusation, falsehood, or character assassination war started, let's finish by fulfilling the scripture. In your lungs, he first breathed breath and planted direction, and from your rib created a divine helper. You are the Son of Man. To what extent do you believe that from us come all things, upright, single-minded, not to the left or to the right? The revelation of what's real will come when we step into being brother man, my brother man. So, at the same time, we got a lot of things working against us. But as God's first human creation, what we gotta understand is it ain't no excuses for us. We already know what the plan is. It's already been embedded. It was embedded from the beginning. So it really don't matter what comes against us. We gotta be man enough to stand up to it and keep walking along the plan. Now, that plan, it comes from being able to link to the gifts that you've been given, and then turning that gift into a purpose, something higher than yourself. And then once you turn it into something higher than yourself, that's when passion develops. And then all of that goes along with the title of purpose, passion, and love. So all of these pieces are dedicated to that type of being and everything that was traveled and noticed while on a faith walk. And it's one thing that I think that's important for us to realize is that a lot of times we go after things, and things is not really what we're supposed to be going after. We're supposed to be going after a development of self, a state of mind, a state of being. And then once you hit that state of being, then all of that other stuff comes to you. And if we get those things out of order, that's why we start reaching goals. We hit goals and we get the car, and we get the house, and we get the mate we was after and all this kind of stuff. But on the inside, we're still a little bit empty. We don't know what's wrong. You know, we got everything, but we still don't feel whole. So that comes from chasing things and not chasing a state of being. And so it's only right that if I challenge my brothers and hold our feet to the fire, that it's got to go the other way as well. So ladies, the name of this next piece is called I Beseech You. And if you know anything about the word beseech, it means to almost beg. I mean, if you look it up, it tells you that it's like to ask fervently, with a lot of purpose. So it's almost like begging. And so I felt the need to write this because I don't fully think that a lot of women understand how bad it hurts when we turn on the TV and everything is about what a man ain't. And I don't think you really understand the illogic in all of that when you consider that, shit, I mean, just to be frank, God made us first. You know, and he gave us a job just like he gave y'all. And, you know, like, I want folks to realize that whatever divide we have in our being in terms of relationship when it comes to male and female, most of them things, that's a human thing. And so that's why I wrote this piece right here. It's called I Beseech You. I beseech you, sister, with all my heart, please lay off the so public display of hatred towards yours truly, your brother. Defeating the stereotypes of this fear-driven idea of supremacy is hard enough. And I know many of us give it right back in negative vibes, but here's why. Remember that line from my brother? Painting narcissistic pictures as if purpose scripture, we the only ones that's missing it. Well, the complete refusal to tell the truth to yourself about yourself resides in that premise. Example is, for every baby daddy, no matter how sorry each one may be, no condom, you let it each time. Just like if one of them is mine, I can't be mad at you because you ain't asked me to wear one. I control me just like you control you. How is it that I'm responsible for yours and my moves? To each bears his own. I promise to be responsible for my every deed. But sister, I beseech you. It's hard to walk in enough peace to fulfill prophecy when behind the eyes of too many of our queens are the words and movement of hate and deception and permission from some TV show, misguided soul or book to make me responsible for you feeling low about your own esteem. Some of y'all gotta learn to face yourselves the same way I gotta learn to face me. To tell me you mean that every choice and consequence that permeates your presence is because of a man? Please. I was under the impression that you are too independent and strong for that. This divide in our coexistence is a human thing. I can show you like acts, for each direction in which the pendulum swings. I beseech you, Queen, in realizing and helping me see parts of me yet unseen. Acknowledge the fact that on any given day, around midday or shortly thereafter, some of y'all can be seen sliding around Walmart in house shoes and pajamas, at the same time telling me how sorry I am. Or because you and me fell out of love and our life's poem fell out of word, is it not? It's not cause for you to force your view into the eyes of your children, distorting their vision. Sister, Queen, my other half in partnership in the life we lead, I beseech you to individually, directly, and privately speak to me about what you need, not publicly lump into and smear it all together in agreement with the oppressors. You want to see the straw that broke a camel's back? Send the man out to face the world, only to come home to hideous looks and words that emasculate. Being home to his home or home to his community. What comes out as anger really is pain. Pain that would drive a man to overindulge in lives of drinking, drugging, and all other types of prophecy-defeating things. So ladies, please, the divide in our coexistence in relationship is due equally to human things of your agape love and upliftment, I beseech. I don't understand, I don't really think that it's really understood how much that hurt a man that's really out here trying to do what he's supposed to do. And every time you turn on the TV, it's some story or somebody on there talking about what a man ain't. You know, and we learn in adulthood that we all have the same ability to make choices. And my choice is no different than yours. I got the same control over my life that you have over yours. So if we really want to make this relationship better, we gotta first start with some 100% accountability. Stop hiding things that you know are true. Stop holding a man responsible for information that you withhold purposely. You know, that's hard to deal with. And then, you know, to turn around and get mad at a man because he didn't understand where you're coming from, but all the information wasn't divulged in the first place. You know, that's not to say that we don't have faults. That's why I wrote it the way I wrote it, because I wanted to make sure to show that I'm holding the same mirror up to me that I'm asking for y'all to hold up to yourselves. It's just hard to take it. And, you know, if you're not familiar with the definition of narcissism, it's dangerous. Google it, all right? I'm gonna step up and say, not only will I take mine, but all the brothers around me that I love, I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna hold them responsible for taking theirs and being responsible for theirs. But don't act like every little Ray Jr. out here really belong to Ray. That shit been going around for a long time. All right, we ain't the only ones with problems to correct. So this next piece right here, we're gonna line it up a little bit. And this next piece is called Random Thoughts. And I wrote it kind of goes all over the place, but that's what goes along with the title also. You know, it's thoughts that come from somewhere everywhere. It's thoughts that derive from some of everything. And whether you can relate to exactly what I'm saying or not, it's someplace in your life to where you can think back and think about things that come to your head. That allows you to understand where I'm coming from. So it's called Random Thoughts. And y'all, just please forgive me for the way my mind jumps around sometimes. Jumping out of the swing to see who can reach their shoes. In East End at the park is where we rode bikes up to Mr. Gainwell store and Peter Reed's too. Hood legends like the Smoke Man, Big Simmons and Stink Pot, and probably once a week, somebody will fight on Turner Street when we got off the bus. Just randomly thinking, like that caramel candy with the cream in the middle and Coca-Cola with peanuts poured in it. That's what me and my mama would have when we went to the laundromat. Bouncing the Super Ball to the moon, Red Rover and playing jazz. Picture that. It's people that actually sleep well knowing that they are evil. Come to think of it, back in the day, remember that cat that used to do the crazy motorcycle jumps over cars and buses and such? I wonder why the choice of name, Evil Knievel. Is there something else to it? Probably not. But pay close attention because entertainment seldom randomly thinks. There is always purpose to what we hear and see. I guess that was the seed to me, thinking about the people that sleep good knowing they're evil and somehow into motorcycles and never mind. It's off the wall from out of nowhere. Thoughts like, I wonder whatever happened to the little boy in Sumter, South Carolina that beat me up when I was about 8 years old trying to be tough. Or the smell of popcorn and pizza at the Greensboro Coliseum. My dad used to take me to see them. All the rappers, the circus, and the wrestlers. Randomly thinking about the hysterical laughter of being with the fellas, reminiscing and hitting jokes on each other. The feeling of being told I love you. I sometimes think of you. That thought, of that feeling you see. These things that sometimes come randomly can also be seen, oftentimes confusing like paradoxes and epiphanies happening at the same time, like acceptance, my man nemesis / ally, as I perform my epiphanistics paradoxically. See, I told you sometimes shit is confusing, but it makes perfect sense in the grand scheme of things. When you live purposefully, with these inner gifts magnified illuminately for the world to see, inspiration for your community. Nurture and develop, teach it to the kids. It's not a thing that we are after, but a state of being, into it added, all things. Just thinking randomly. So like, how many of y'all are familiar with them two words, paradox and epiphany? It's kind of, it's wild, right? So like the paradox is like the catch-22. It's like you in a situation and, damn if you do and damn if you don't. You don't know which one to do. The epiphany is like the clarity of it all. It's like when you get that moment of clarity and you understand, okay, that's what I need to do. And so like, through life, ironically, we are performing through paradox, and this is a made up word, epiphanistic. So all the time we are looking for those moments of clarity, those times of confusion. And so that's where that particular passage came from. I had wrote a piece one time, like a few years ago, many years ago, called Paradoxical Epiphanies. And through that whole poem, I was talking about different situations that cause that moment of confusion of not knowing what to do, but then also providing in that same confusion the moment of clarity. And I can't find the poem nowhere. I posted it on the site one time. I can't remember what site I posted it on. I don't know what I wrote it on, if I put it in the book, threw it away, I don't know. But that's the only line that I can remember from that line, that it happened to fit in that poem of random thoughts. So initially, what this night was planned for was to launch. It was supposed to be a book release party, okay? So the book is not quite ready, so a lot of this stuff that you hear tonight, some of it will be rewritten a little bit. It'll all be matched with stuff never heard. So what we kind of going through tonight, we get some footage and we get some sound, and we getting some material to add to what's going to be a bigger production of the video to promote the book. And in keeping in line with purpose, before I go to the next piece, it would be totally hypocritical of me to let everybody leave without understanding what we are here for, what this whole thing was constructed for. We need to leave here in some way inspired. We need to leave here in some way with some type of charge, some type of commitment to just help better our community. And as men, it starts with us. The title of the book, Purpose, Passion, and Love, the Heart of a Man, part of the purpose of that title is to show the world that all of these things, all of these thoughts, all of these feelings that's included in this work, these are things that stereotypically as men we don't get credit for. And it ain't the wrong way to say it. I don't want to ruffle no feathers, but it ain't the wrong way to say it. We don't wind up being first. Nothing else works. All right? And if it's not easy to tell that by the state of the community right now, then, I really don't have no more words for you. Nothing works unless we are in our place. So, fellas, we got to step in our place first. And then, ladies, there is a word out here that is it's not being promoted as a good word. It's being promoted as weakness. But just like if my brother right here do something to me, the only way for me to grow from that and to learn from that and to not put myself in no way of harm from that is the forgiveness program. Alright? And so, just like forgiveness, like we've been taught that forgiveness is weak. Oh, I ain't gonna forgive him. You wind up holding on to shit from 30 years ago, and you don't even realize how long it holds you back. But there's a word in the scripture that I encourage all of you to seek out and study, and it's called submission. Alright? And that's not submission to being weak. That's not submission to some man telling you what you can do and what you can't do. It's submission to the natural order. And just like in forgiveness, my power in forgiving that brother right there is in the actual forgiveness. So all of that power that you are claiming as queens, that power comes from the submission of, not to me as a man. I mean, I would be not God-fearing to sit up here and to try to encourage you to do that. But it's submission to the way God planned this thing out. And it's it's not working because, number one, a lot of us are not in the place we are supposed to be as men. All right? But then number two, when that man come along that is, y'all got your dude self because you don't want to let him be there. All right? And then that's where the fight starts. And that's why a lot of us vacate the home. All right? Because it's not in our best interest of positive energy to fight against that, because we can't win. There's no way that we can win. All right? So, if you got one that's about his business and they walk upright and they can't be swayed to the left or to the right, let him have his place. That's where the origin of the word of submission comes from. It ain't about being weak. It ain't about somebody telling you what to do. And as soon as we can stop these TV shows and these hurt souls from broadcasting that, the better off we'll be. Because then at that point, now you can hold my feet to the fire. All right, if I ain't there, you can hold my feet to the fire, but you can't hold my feet to the fire right now. All right, because there's too many other things wrong on the other side that I can point to, and then they become tit for tat. That fight is media driven. Don't fall, baby. Don't fall, baby. These are human things that we are fighting against. So this last piece is called subconscious. And pay close attention to it, because it is the secret of what we produce as our manifestation. And then once we get through with this last piece, you know, if there's anything to interject, any questions, you know, we'll talk some live back and forth right now. We're gonna get into self-conscious. And it go like this. I formed while you were still in the womb, before words were heard. Vibrations were the first hands to shake your mother and father's combination of each other and all their ancestors, and by the time we came out, words, feeling, and vibrations had already set the beginning foundations. Then came experiences and confirmations. And without you knowing it, I control all of your outer situations, from your ideas and expectancy of relationship to your outer appearance. I tell you what you think before you think it. I am your subconscious. Aware of the unseen awareness, dictator of your physical manifest. Feed me good food. Once the truth is revealed, it is I you must reveal. I reside deep inside. I speak to you even though you don't hear me. I hear you talk without you speaking it. I am your subconscious. The state of me determines your level of being. And if you bask in sweet dreams from the visions you are seeing, and the quality of life from which your life is gleaming, good food feed me, and your kids and your community. For it is in my power to dictate attainability of everything, from the most petty of things to the highest in spirituality. I am your subconscious. Good food feed me, protect me, nurture me, purposefully, passionately, love me. I am your subconscious. But I gotta take care of what's inside. Alright? It's beings, spiritual beings that talk to us and we're not even aware of. And it gets created and the foundation is built from things that
we are not even aware of circumstances that we grow up in. But once you realize the truth, if you want to change what's a part of your outer manifestation, if you want to change the things that speak as your life, purpose is your life's message. So if your message ain't saying the right thing, it's certain things that need to be done to be changed within you. And so you gotta start telling yourself some lies. Alright? So when is a lie ever good? A lie is good when the truth ain't real. Okay? And so to follow me, this is what I mean. I done been through several jobs. I'm broke. Relationships ain't going right. Me and my kids' relationships ain't quite right. So instead of me laying on the fact that I can't, and this ain't, and I'm broke, and this and that, whatever you are after, you gotta start telling your subconscious that it already is. Alright, that's the only way for you to get to accomplishing being whatever it is that person is that you're going after. So before it ever shows up in the physical, you gotta believe it in the mental and in the spiritual. So you gotta get into affirmations, you gotta get into studying the law of attraction. You gotta get into studying what it means for all of us to be created in His image and what power that brings with us, and the power that comes from our tongue and what we believe with our minds and our spiritual hearts. So, without no further ado, if that's all those are all the pieces that I have ready. What's up, baby? Class 89 now. So, if we got any questions, anything that you want to go back over, anything that you wanted to elaborate on, we can talk about it. If not, that's the end of the presentation. I want y'all to be like on the lookout for when the book is available. It's not quite available yet, but just to let you know where we're going with this thing, we try to generate enough buzz to take this message all over the world, because it's not just about Thomasville and a small town mentality. It's about people not being attached to vision. And the word tells us that where there is no vision, the people perish. And if you look around, we ain't really growing much around here. And that comes from lack of vision. And so in order to inspire lack of vision, we gotta have enough people that's walking in it, that's really living it. And that's what the purpose of this book is, that's what the purpose of this message is. And we're gonna take it farther than Main Street in Thomasville, North Carolina. Not that we can't keep it here, because really, to be honest with you, if we build our community and the next person build their community, and then the next man, next person, next woman build their community, then we all build it, it's all good. But we're gonna take this thing higher, we're gonna push this thing as far as we can go. Like I said earlier, this thing of being in the spotlight, this ain't really something that I'm comfortable with, but it's absolutely necessary. And I would be remiss if I didn't broadcast this thing and God put it in my heart. I'd be scared to go home if I did that shit. I feel quite like a punk if I did some shit like that. So I'm open for any questions. If not, y'all mingle, enjoy yourselves for the rest of the time. Be on the lookout through all social media platforms. However you heard about this, about when the book will be ready. Not much further than a week or two out. We'll be able to put this link out and make the book available for order. And get this message on the road. We're gonna take this thing all over the place. I gotta shout out Rob D for giving us the platform, Cafe Unwind. We gotta find a way to make this thing last through the summer, and so we can get through, get rid of all this COVID bullshit and make this thing last. You know, we ain't got a lot of places in Thomasville that provide opportunities like this. You know, it ain't even gotta be an opportunity like this, just to come somewhere and have a few drinks and enjoy yourself. You know, so we gotta keep this thing going. Like you're saying, we got Muslim Mail TV, we got a production coming right here. You can look at it and quite detail what they're doing. You know, I'm working on building a publishing company and a few other things that's gonna go with the book, that's gonna help promote the ability to do everything and anything according to what you believe. We got Raw D, we got Cafe Unwind. My man Lamont McCauley got, if y'all on the CMOS, Lamont McCauley got the CMOS and the CMOS jail. Y'all look him up, I got his phone number if you need it. We got a few other brothers in the hood. Buck Rogers, Kevin Haywood, Lamont, what's Mom's last name, man? Mom with the dread. Anybody know? Drake. Mom Drake, man. Mom Drake was the first one really to set this thing off up here with the poetry. You know, and we got an organization that's geared to helping the community and putting back into the community. Not just putting back to the community, you know, from an outside perspective, but first of all, helping each other. You know, iron sharpens iron, sharpens iron. Helping each other reach the places of accountability that we need to be in, so that when we speak this talk, speak this speech, we are actually walking the walk, okay? Ain't no worse than being a hypocrite and trying to encourage somebody to do something that you ain't already done for yourself, all right? So, you know, in terms of giving back to the community, we got all kinds of things going on. We got Mr. Robert Brody back there. How many African American lawyers is walking around here? You know what I mean? We got things, we got talent all over this community, and we got to get out of the habit of only giving our kids athletics and certain other forms of entertainment as ways of solidifying who they are as character. It's too much talent here. I work in the school system. We got to find a way to infuse in our school system ways to identify our kids' talents and then start steering them into that, because that's where purpose and passion come from. Once you link into that talent and then you nurture it and you master it and then you come up with a reason higher than yourself to spread it. That's when you get locked into your divine mission, all right? And it ain't about being perfect, you know. Believe it or not, I purposely write curse words into my lyrics, and I purposely want you to see me with a drink in my hand, because I'm normal, you know, and we lose too many people to spiritual laws trying to portray some type of perfect picture, and that ain't real. And that's why we can't keep our kids close to us. We gotta not only tell what's real in terms of truth, but we gotta express what's real in terms of who we are, so that the youngest will believe what we say. And then we gotta be able to show them that we are walking the walk that we are portraying to. And so it's like, y'all can probably tell I'm still in writing mode, because all my shit coming out is rhymes right now. But that's the end of the presentation. Anybody got questions, suggestions, input? I appreciate it. Until the next time.